Conventionally, when one starts a business, you either structure it as a C Corp, an S Corp, or an LLC. However, with the rise of the ESG movement and a general for-our-friendly approach to the idea of stakeholder capitalism, there's been a new type of designation of a way to legally structure your company, and that is known as a benefit corporation, or more commonly known as a B Corp. So what is a benefit corporation, and how does it differ from a normal for-profit business or a nonprofit? In the rest of this video, I'm going to go into B Corps and who should use them, and does it really make an actual difference? Welcome to Analyzing Finance with Nick. Today we're talking about B Corps. So a B Corp is basically a for-profit company whose goals extend beyond just maximizing shareholder profits. It conventionally, basically since a Supreme Court case in 1919, it's been pretty ironclad that the main goal of a corporation is to maximize profits for the shareholders in the long run. And the priorities of the shareholders always come first against other corporate stakeholders. Stakeholders, by this definition, can include employees, community or the town that the business is based in, customers, environment, anything that is affected by the company but has no ownership stake in the company is a stakeholder. With the increased profit margins overall and increased wealth inequality and a lot of social problems that are not being solved by traditional non-governmental organizations, a lot of people feel like that businesses need to step up and be a source of the solution to a lot of society's problems, and or some businesses should be run in a more ethical manner that takes care of its stakeholders beyond the shareholders. And so that's what the rise of this B Corp designation has been created to solve. So in terms of the frequency of B Corps, it's not very common, but it is rising, particularly among venture-backed startups and other companies who are trying to brand themselves as having a bigger purpose beyond just making money. Right now, there are 36 US states that have fully legalized B corporations. There are 3 that have struck it down in the state legislature, which are Michigan, Missouri, and Mississippi, and the remaining 10 states who have not proposed any legislation on this issue yet at this point. Surprisingly, Washington State is one of those that's not a B corporation approving state despite its political leanings. However, really, a lot of this is just fluff more than any real substance. From a legal protection perspective and a taxation perspective, a B Corp really has no difference between a C Corp or an S Corp in terms of tax freedom. In fact, owners of B Corp need to choose how they're going to tax themselves in either a C Corp or an S Corp structure, even if they technically are a B Corp. The only state that, as of now, allows LLCs to also be B Corps is Illinois. You can choose to have your LLC be a B Corp in the land of Lincoln as well. In terms of they basically are the same as a regular business. However, there are non-taxation and non-legal benefits to being a B Corp. One, there's certain service providers, most notably Salesforce, who will give discounts to B Corps. Also, B Corps tend to have a more popularity among certain subdivisions of consumers. And so it might be a branding play. Like, would I rather buy my product from a heartless for-profit corporation, or would I rather buy the same product from a B Corp who decides to invest back into their community and do something for a greater good? So there's a brand. It may also change the type of investors who invest in your company. If you want investors who care more about impact and social causes and less about just immediate hard profits, like you want more of the green crowd and less of the Kevin O'Leary crowd, a B Corp could be a good way to distinguish yourself, to narrow the type of investors you want, Or it may just, if stakeholder capitalism continues to become a more popular idea, structuring as a B Corp may just be more attractive to investors in general. Also, if you do really have a greater cause, if you are a B Corp, your shareholders are less likely to rebel if you use more of your profits towards donating to charities or to funding the social causes that you've intended to create and contribute to, versus immediately paying those in dividends or keeping it as retained earnings. So those are more private sector benefits to having a B corporation. The main one risk is that if you try to run a B corporation and then you decide to shift directions and be more of a profit-focused business, you could easily alienate your customer base and your investors and other stakeholders. So this isn't a decision to be taken entirely lightly, even though the legal consequences and structure and tax structure is no different. There are reputational considerations to be made. Examples of B corporations are abundant. They're kind of the companies you would expect. Ben & Jerry's, Coursera, The Body Shop, Seventh Generation, and then, of course, and probably the most famous B corporation is Patagonia, which I'm wearing their jacket right now for this video. The last issue with B corporations is, how do you verify that the management of B corporations and the owners are actually working in the interest of all the stakeholders, and it's not just greenwashing or woke washing, where companies who claim to become an environmentally friendly or green company, or they serve some certain cause, but in practice, they don't really have any material changes to their business to be that way. Example would be like a company that emits nothing in their business because they're naturally a low emission type business, like a services company, and then claim to be super green. It's not the same as, say, like a shipping company changing the emission stacks on their boats to be more clean. One of them is actually putting its money where its mouth is. The other one is just saying they're green just through unsubstantiated platitudes. And this is obviously going to be a concern with B corporations. So the way that this is being resolved now is through third-party verification. Different U.S. states have different laws on this. Some don't require any sort of verification. Others require it. The most notable of these B corporation verifiers is a company called B-Lab, which is a nonprofit. It's around 2006 that certifies the legitimacy of B corporations, that they truly are working for their cause and or making their focus on the stakeholders that the management of the B Corp has claimed to be. And if they're not, these third parties, in theory at least, could just end their seal of approval and disbar the company that they're verifying from saying that they're a certified B corporation. The main risk of this is kind of what happened like with the rating agencies pre-2008, is that there'll be some certifying body that, if they're paid enough, will verify anybody, whether they actually are in line with the cause or not. So that's the main risk here when it comes to B corporations. But since B corporations don't effectively have a different tax or legal structure, the consequences aren't as severe, because if you just see a company using a shadier verification service, then the investors and the stakeholders can know, hey, they may not be serious because they're using the verification service that has a reputation of being bought off versus one that's more reputable. And then finally, internationally, has this gained any traction outside the US? Well, there are some countries that have adopted it. Colombia and Italy are the two most notable, but as of now, this is mostly a US thing. But I expect it to expand to most of the rest of the world, because it's kind of stakeholder capitalism is becoming an increasingly trendy idea. What are your thoughts on B Corps? Would you set up a B Corp yourself? And in what circumstances are the entrepreneurs and the business owners who watch this channel, would you use a B Corp over just a normal business structure? And as those who are investors or potential investors, do you consider B Corps or companies that focus more on stakeholders beyond just maximizing profits? Is that something you put a premium on and find important? Or as a consumer, would you prefer to work with companies like that? If you have any thoughts on all this stuff, please mention it in the comments. And if you like the type of content we do here, please like, share, subscribe, and spread the word. Every piece of engagement is greatly appreciated.